All right, Philip Lawrence Sherrod, poet here. I'm now 79 years old. I started writing at 37 after coming from Oklahoma to New York City in 1959. At about that time of my life, I began to feel I knew what I was about and what I had to say or speak. So I'm going to read you a poem or a book, or from the book of Mouth Parts. There's 22 poems. Okay, Mouth Parts. 1 poem is Carcass, Suicide. 2 is New Seduction. 3 is Pots to Women. 4 is Hot Birth. 5, One Way. 6, Extinct Vulgus. 7, To Women. 8, Ulcerations. 9, Waking Animal. 10, A Maker's Mirage. 11, Seriously Yes. 12, Putting the Pieces Together. 13, All in a Laugh. 14, Social Excuse. 15, Regular Star. 16, Neither. 17, Coming. 18, Old Masters to New. 19, Lesson. 20, Bar. 21, Baby Should I Put. 22, Sight. Poem number 1. And incidentally, this is a first edition Audible release, copyrighted by myself. Carcass or Suicide. Lost in the cry of small dogs, some scavengers feed from my hand. Rib case by rib bone, they have taken the main bone out. A hollow chance to voice between the hyena's laugh, love, and daylight. I too have had a touch point with the tiger, but his stripes are worth more than the asking. The gypsy moth lays gnawing between green leaves, and the kangaroo rats, like art, aggression, and dreams, sit black as shapes. Like vultures with outstretched wings, bald heads, bald necks, snaking into their hidden trophy, they have worked the worms into placiditude. Down the cheeks of their kill, and words crawl out of the carcass like whirls. Two, New Seduction. Piping hot, fuller than veins, full in imagery like highways, crowded to the teeth, bursting out all over the horizon in light. Side of mouth bigger than words, servant to the gun shot off, aimed in the oral month of love. Lips sticking in the cosmetic ear, sex on the tongue erupting in, volcanoed voice echoing, a caveman collecting sounds, tuned in stone, erecting up, executing the squeeze play. With a sure double ball of sign, juiced virgin or Christ by liquid waits by the well of women, a jaundiced jack-in-the-box, male assumption, apple red. 3. Pots to women, cliffhangers to elephant's foot to Dieffenbachia. Green as gourd, wrinkled like a wounded wife. And she should be so nice. Antilles, a bay window left open to secret, Fuseli's virgin, to White Horse, startled, with continual migraine, head up, Draconia, Pleistocene era. We all catch hell in time. Our spittle to mutterings, work boots, to winter tennis, shoes for the summer, quick changes to temperature, to accommodations so ritzy, like Hammond's Ambassador World Atlas, to walking the yellow pages, we take our steps to subconscious cures dying to talk. If I had to foot-toe to heel, hell-bound to tiptoe on tongue, yet we glide ephemeral over darker forest. Dark yet the highways invite me like daughters of the hill, a red ant. Four, hot birth, violent virgin. Before the crime you look so comfortable wrapped in bed sheets like love. Fat chance to be chained or snuffed out, but looking for a last piece of dream. Struggling alongside me for milk sweat. Your parasitic pearl with each bead of nacre naked has sucked out your last breath. Your throat stuck in voice. To your warm shells pulsing from your budded Venus like waves of truth. Roll in horizontal horror. In white fixation your skin bleeds. True. Like cold slabs of shark-infested concrete. You had a hard notion of life struggling with the cord of my sex. 5. One way. Riding with so many fits and starts I could have driven any bus mad except for the big trips. It takes a steady hand, but around the moon I could get nervous. Thinking of all the condition in human and crowds waiting on earth calling me by my first name where woodpeckers round out the stupid stump. Trees fall just half the size of small complaints to a moon's demeanor. Insects stand erect and serious to tell the time of day you need to take a T-square into the forest. Yet, some say, perspective is lost in the apple of my eye, or the core of bridges and arthritic tunnels. The billboards seem to me the answer as Hollywood smokes the cigarette in general. Castration is not my concern, but when you walk in one-way streets, the only way is non-stop. 6. Extinct vulgus. Active again, spewing out hot love, concerned of ruins and edges, flowing over a verbal disgrace, volcanoed by face, spitting out the profile of life, drowning wet, buried alive, words rocking, hot rock in constant flood, my feeling dormant captain of black liquid anthropologist digging deep, my boned meanings heaped up and piled high. Overconfident and aggressive in lawful supposition, dead dropped, daredevil, violent virgin, unable to contain myself, hallucinating by ear with earmarks of an artist, when talking is not enough, sick, fast to my stomach, mankind in masturbation. 7. 2 women. I've been at odds with the world at opposite ends of earthy poles, rubbing myself thin like peach fuzz, pitting myself against truth and weather. Somehow we bodies are all the same, drying our skin mouths intermittently incoherent into palatable reasons. I've tasted dilemma and crisis in my backyard like 2 fruit right off the original limb, and they fell side by side. 2 spheres seated the backwarded fence. Across are 2 skeletons, 2 mystiques. For the asking and taking, repetition has a way with me, talking me in like 2 women. Eight, ulcerations. Eaten out, I think. I'm on to gnawing at the pit. Some minor disturbance has caught my alliterations within a new dictum of jostlings or juxtapositions. Don't you think your sounds are rational? Your reading, my talking to the pip of an egg, the ways your voice cracks to some future fucking will get you to ulcer. Number 9, waking animal, like a giraffe. Beauty rises to my knees with so much clamoring, with so many dark glasses. I don't know why she chose me. The baby hippo was so degenerate with question. I felt like we had shared some fat in the cradle. With so many rockings, with so much love, our ugly neighbors pried into our each argument like eating a hero in heat or sandwich. In some tall hat, in some short boat, we walked about 2 inches from my nose, and I am glad she has had animal nightmares before. 10 of 22. A maker's mirage with a flushed face, with audacity and similar proximity, clear-cut by frictioned vowels, competing with nature, getting rid of the vocal excesses, mental delusion, hypothetical life, cards, full in hand, playing the spade, triangular, trumping off in feeling, burning the imagery, eye squaring, sloughing downwind, comparing the physical to spiritual form, complicating, complementary, complot, plutocrating, generous to myself and you, recollecting the necessary or the necessity in illusion, examining my dirt nails, unfit to be nice. 11. Seriously, yes, it's beauty versus truth, this time and time again, personally. And who isn't a little annoyed by the world, who continually contrives and overshoots the mark, coming down to myself and enthusiasm? Could it have been all different? Thinking out loud in concrete comparisons and self-righted rationalizations, dubbed, oversighted, walking the sidewalk straight forward, out of step with John, hopefully the father incestuously related with the self, incongruously belated to others on the shelf. What makes you believe the difference is notable? What makes you believe the difference is notable? What makes you show yourself to me? Is it our self on exhibit tendency, hardening the eyeball, switching the fact, changing the clothes of the lily? Your heart, my tart, beats freely on me. Number 12. Putting the pieces together. In those lonely hours before my mother knew me, I did the best I could. The clocks were ticking in unison, except for bad watches, infidels with inherent bad reasons. Love shattered the shaft of churches. Sex transmigrated into the temples. The Pope was worried. Since then, I've been fixed by the line of Apollo and astronauts and middle-class treason. Businessmen counting their dollars, lobotomists and liars were giving orders for chemical changes. Those afflicted with repetition were given the last chance to dance at the right hand of me. Many-sided magicians sawed my body in half, refusing to pick up to pieces. The children in school were frightened. Anyway, you look at it. Soft shoe is urban in step. My head is acknowledged by homosexuals, and transvestites collect my interparabolic innocence, grown learned and human in puzzle. 13. All in a laugh. All the way from childhood, old ropes, tires, the swing simply wipes me out now. Swingers should try half as hard as secretaries to losing contact with the inner ear. In total darkness, we hug our outer rail, a molded curb, whirled from Protococcus in the heat of it, looking like monkeys on a string gone sour. A granny could cast an apple out of Eden, but it's on the tree now, our deliverance to barking new. She should be so kind. Joan Trot to Wolf, a maiden in sheep's clothing still alive, working her way through black lines, telephoning the rebels. All my pieces are out now. Defunct as virgin. I don't believe my eyes. It's number 17 talking, like a grandmother's gallery. It's hard to be a saint in the living city. Social excuse. 14. Erratic as I may be, thank God, it all seems too easy after the layoff. On for 15 years after no sum longer, or 16 to be exact, 1 year after the fact. We finders are guilty in fact-filled illusions, and who calls? We all get it in the end, dreaming off. Like Jack of Spades to Dreamer of Asses, we deal the deck as a blacklisted shuffle, some excuse to race our color against creed. Small handguns will not deliver us from the Gettysburg Address. Promises over promises, bullets over love. Lincoln, you got it like they get it now. John Wilkes Booth has bred into thousands, finger flickers taking lives on the short pole. Tick off our habits like dead blood. We could travel maybe as transvestites for 2 minutes, or concentrate for 2 weeks safely by 30 seconds. We'll never get never grabbing snake eyes off the boards, and I have a habit to revert the revertible. 115. A regular star and act assuming as polished professional before the curtain calls in composure. Drops to small talk, to small town artist. On stage is our only retribution. Private lives and 4-lane drives. Private driveways lead to doorways. Led in snow tires and automatic shifts, some will make it in base direction. Some not used to honors hiccups. I am not quite sure of international success. As an old drag strip of worn-out dragons, which leaves me cold. As a human iceberg, leaves me a bastard child in a bastard's basket. But on failure's doorstep, a summer invalid is left talking and walking on crutches like an amateur. Poem 16. neither in the beast of them. The poets our words fall, best again, all as if before used, new again, too shocking old, or to bother, we reread our delights, what's not read before. And it catches on our chest, in our worded lung, deep-throated at best, our breaths come easily. From inside out we rub the wounded tongue, rubbing free, and with sanded lids caught on the king's syllables. Yet King Ryan, too, took sleep on breaded wing, and Christ, too, like him, in small shakes, our psychic malts, and we don't drink to this either, but fair shakes. We stand for psychological principles and not warded off by gender. We grab our sex like a gust of kindness, hooded in as king cobras strangled by an imaginary mongoose. Page 17, poem 17. Coming mosquito or whine like that in my ears, a ringing, constant, of not being noticed. Some small cataclysmical guilty or grumble bloodsuckers or rumble your proboscis is in. We all go by a nose, like it or not. The shellacking falls from shelded out skin, like coins from human purses. One ring at a time, our faces go blank as trypanoids or Las Vegas queens on the make, or an anopheles winging it in on a prayer. And to Uncle Todd's sleeping sickness, to dropping his newspaper, headlines fell out of print like good news, and our legs are spread-eagled like some aerial dancers pin-cushioned in ballet and stuck deep as offshore or rig of Texaco oil before I caught her with the flat of my hand. These old baby poems are okay. And this paper is stiff. Poem 18, Old Masters to New. Suffering, physical education. In his t-shirt, couldn't have been more explicit in the deity department. God-fearing is more like it. For whom are we speaking? Causeways, cars, and humans interact. In instinct and survival by degrees. Like collision and love on the freeway, everything goes cress. To get his license number or driver's number shouldn't have driven our neighbors so hard, and rubber rolls between gentle infractions less retractable than the dead. We must be pumped up like accident balloons, psychic kites flying high to our low nature, frivolous as a form, art versus childhood caring. We clean ourselves from talents to knowledge, going down the sink and rising religious like mum's the word, like Masaccio did it. Okay, poem number 19, and its lesson. From lemon to poet. Sour grapes don't make good wine. Wrath is better to taste than God's graceful as third tongue, immoral head as tiger. McSorley's drinker without stripes. U.S. 2 could be religious. John Sloan, your painting is trash. I can paint so well as an ashcan degenerate, and we would drink to sentiment like Gundar's Zintalus, Lady in Red makes art. Our yellow highlights could get us drafted. Like poor Auden, W.H. incorporated with skin like lizard, and Lorca's an old man, a chameleon to any branch. Manufacturers Hanover would turn over, but I don't bank on it. We shoplift our bills to paperless apples, botched up like beer teeming. Rats, Norwegian in accents, crawl from Ann Arbor to Kalamazoo, and Michigan's no DP camp for beginners unless you say so. To be a Latvian is sure. Plastic surgeons, enemies of mine, leave no trace. A stitch in 8 will wake like diet. Who believes it? Bad boys peck, have some of us in them. From test tubes to generals to good lines, we wax storefronts as privates, militant in Pyrex meals and medals boarded by a sunset in midnight ditches. An old goose, stretched loose, bald as eagle, and Sir Walter Raleigh's big leaf couldn't cover a Adam's fly unless the apple has a woman worm in it. Who's to say that bad seeds watch TVs? Poem 20. Bar, 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 bar my word, a terrible state to be in, prohibited by my favorite word like flashing green to red. A colored flashlight, a coat of the lyrebird, Joseph dressed in transvestite feathers. I've always found it so right, on corners or middle to a block. ED, a psychological thing, bar, bar, bar. Some people have reinstated the sign bar, some smell of luck. A few beers to walking, to talking a straight line to identity, I wonder. Let's face it, they're down to a Roman request, talking, a humor, a time. They have done it like this, with no fat chance and no explanation. Bar, 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 barring none. But that's just the catch of it. I too once lived, died rattling to bones, to bad syllables, a wet contradiction. Too often precedes the drink, and rotten words collect in the juice, and pink elephants find me between the graveyard and their public pastimes, me caught up in pastel faces, thick hides rendering each detail. Ella Fos Antos, blind as a Bruegel, drunk but real, sick. Poem 21. Baby. Should I put my best foot forward, tripping the twins of the Gemini subway, your favorites of the gum machine, a love man of 170th Street, or Janet of another planet, written right on the box. And where did it get them? Right where it got us. Me or I, famous, heading down the track, rail by rail and ear to ear. Listen, baby, I'm talking. You were the one. And it's all wrong somehow. With that stocking cap where some leg should be, I bet you have walked many a man to death for the day or the night, yet on the hill or of the hill, and to look at those cars racing to reflections like graffiti, like giraffes won't race in this tunnel. But one-sided visions, and erroneous, for nothing more serious than a serious man in flippant America could be more serious than you. All right, the last poem of the contents of mouth parts is called Sight, which is poem 22. Have you ever seen old men jumping across puddles in a rained street, their reflections being a young girl's twitch, licking her finger, by tarot cards judged the ruler to become his sovereign, but leaving too early, without his 7-Up dies of a down to shin time. OTBs opened an office on the 4487 with peppermint, spearmint, cinnamon, or fancy fruit, and she walked by leaning against blue poles of 50. He gives a purple information, and you can get the number 3, her toes showing, inspecting her baby Ruth like a cigarette burns. For there is no left turn on the Avenue of Americas, and discount hosiery or hot heroes with air mail tickets are sold cold turkey by I. Shonewalter of Elizabeth, New Jersey, the Satyrian screamer directing traffic of the word come too late. Watch the doors, please. And Johnny Walker Scotch Red Label. All right, there you have it. 22 poems from the Book of Mouth Parts. Being published now, but written from about 37 to 38. And first edition, first audible edition. Hope you liked it.